Usually, when you look at a company's quarterly financial report, you expect a pretty straightforward story.
Right. Up is good, down is bad.
Exactly. It's like looking at a scoreboard, you know? You score more points, you're winning. You lose points, well, you're losing.
Yes, simple math.
But then you look at a legacy giant that's navigating this massive transition, and suddenly that simple up or down metric completely breaks down.
It really does. It gets messy.
It's like looking at this massive historic ship that just got a brand new paint job and, a new captain. You look at the ledger and it looks like the ship is taking on water,
Right.
but is it actually sinking? Or is it just like remodeling the engine room while it's still out at sea?
That is the exact question we have to answer today.
So to find out, we are ripping open a very specific document today for this deep dive. It's a 10Q SEC filing for the quarter ending May 31st, 2026.
Yep.
This is from Phoenix Education Partners, Inc. Now, you listening might know them a lot better by the name of their primary subsidiary.
Which is a huge name.
Yeah, the nearly 50-year-old pioneer of online education, the University of Phoenix.
This document, it really tells a fascinating story. We're looking at an institution that was completely synonymous with early internet-era education,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. The whole pajamas thing.
Exactly. And now they are navigating a totally new reality as a publicly traded company in the 2020s. The numbers here, they force you to question your basic assumptions about corporate health.
So if you are out there analyzing ed tech markets or studying corporate turnarounds or, you just want to understand how massive institutions manage to pivot without falling over, this deep dive is going to cut through all that information overload.
Yeah, we're definitely hunting for the aha moments hidden in these spreadsheets,
And we're going to find quite a few of them.
especially when we look at how they're balancing these big future ambitions with some really heavy past liabilities.
Okay, let's unpack this because we really have to start with the raw numbers.
We do.
Right out of the gate, we're hit with this contradiction that just demands an explanation. So for the quarter ending May 31st, 2026, their net revenue was completely flat year over year.
Just totally stagnant.
Right. They brought in $271.8 million, basically the exact same amount as the previous year. But their net income, the actual profit left over, that fell from $54.6 million down to $38.9 million.
Yeah, so a casual glance at a, nearly 30% drop in net income.
Yeah, roughly 30%.
Well, revenue stays completely flat. I mean, that paints a picture of a business in decline.
It looks terrible.
It does. To a surface-level investor, it looks like their operating costs are just spiraling out of control and, eating into their margins.
But if you look closely at the ledger, you see the necessary context.
Right.
Because in October of 2025, so just a few months prior to this report, the company went public.
Yep.
They had an initial public offering at $32 a share, and they transitioned from a private entity, which was called AP8 Queso Holdings, LP, to the publicly traded Phoenix Education Partners, Inc.
And we have to look really closely at the mechanics of that IPO.
Okay.
Because it was what the financial world calls a secondary offering.
Which means what exactly?
Well, it means the company did not actually receive a single dime from going public.
See, that is wild to me. I was trying to think of a way to picture a secondary offering, and it's kind of like throwing a massive, incredibly expensive graduation party for yourself.
Okay, I like this.
You rent the hall, you hire the band, but all the guests get to keep the gifts they brought. You don't get any of them. You're just stuck paying the caterer.
That is a perfect analogy, actually. In this filing, the existing shareholders sold their stock to the public.
Right, they cashed out.
Exactly, they kept the money.
Yeah.
But the company itself, Phoenix Education Partners, absorbed all the administrative costs of hosting the party.
Which were not cheap.
Not at all. And what's fascinating here is how clearly that party bill shows up in the income statement. When we look at their general and administrative expenses, their G&A, it shot up 18.3% over the 9-month period leading up to May 2026.
Wow.
And the driving force behind that increase, it wasn't new office buildings or, flashy marketing campaigns.
No.
No, it was driven heavily by $31.1 million in share-based compensation.
Okay, wait, I need a reality check on this. I understand they were compensating their executives and management with stock options.
Right.
But if they just modified stock options, physical cash didn't actually leave the bank account, did it?
It did not.
So why does it look like they lost $31 million in cash on this ledger?
Welcome to the paradox of modern accounting rules.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so in connection with the IPO, the company modified about 1.7 million existing stock options for their management team.
Okay.
Previously, those options would have only vested, meaning the employees could actually, exercise them and cash in if there was a change in control or ownership of the company.
Like a buyout or something.
Exactly. But by going public, they fundamentally changed the terms.
Oh, I see.
They restructured it so that about 900,000 of those options vested right at the time of the IPO, and the rest vest a year later.
Okay, so because they triggered that vesting, they are legally obligated to record the value of those stock options as a massive expense on their income statement,
You got it.
even if it's technically a non-cash expense.
Right. It's a purely mechanical cost. They're basically transitioning corporate structures and paying out management's equity.
Right.
So it hits the net income incredibly hard on paper. But it does not mean fewer students are paying tuition.
Ah.
And it definitely doesn't mean the core business is struggling to maintain its daily operational margins.
Okay, so if all that missing profit is just like an accounting illusion from the IPO caterers bill,
Yeah.
we really need to look at the top line, the revenue, to see if the actual business of educating students is healthy, because surviving in higher ed right now is brutal.
Oh, it's unbelievably tough.
Uh,
Traditional colleges are facing this huge demographic cliff, not to mention rising operational costs and just intense public skepticism about the actual return on investment of a college degree.
People are definitely questioning if it's worth it.
Exactly. Institutions are fighting tooth and nail just to maintain their enrollment numbers right now.
Which makes the numbers in this 10Q even more surprising to me.
Oh, totally.
Because their average total degree enrollment is actually up slightly. It's up to 85,300 students.
That's huge.
And even more wild than that, they have not raised their tuition rate since 2018.
Yeah, that stood out to me too. Holding tuition flat for 8 years in a highly inflationary environment.
It's crazy.
It requires a massive financial offset somewhere else in the business model. I mean, you cannot absorb 8 years of inflation without cutting costs or finding a massive efficiency elsewhere.
Right, and they actually found that efficiency in their student retention.
Yes, they did.
According to the filing, retention was sitting at 59.7% for the 2016 to 2017 cohort.
Okay.
But for the 2024 to 2025 cohort, it jumped to 76.6%.
Which is phenomenal. In the world of online education, dropout rates have historically been a massive vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
So a nearly 17 percentage point jump in retention, that transforms the entire business model.
How so? Like, mathematically?
Well, it means the university does not have to spend a fortune
Yeah.
on digital marketing to acquire new students just to replace the ones who leave halfway through a degree.
Oh, right. It's so much cheaper to keep a student than to find a new one.
Exactly.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting for me. It's the how behind that retention jump.
Right, the strategy.
Yeah. The filing notes that 35% of their enrollment now comes through employer relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3 percentage point increase recently. And they recently acquired this tiny company called Empath Inc. for about $2 million,
Right.
which they've now renamed Talent Mobility, Inc. And the filing says Empath provides a, quote, company-wide skills inventory for its employees through machine learning-based skills inference.
Skills inference.
Yeah, skills inference. Now, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
When I read that, my immediate cynical reaction was that the University of Phoenix just spent $2 million to buy an AI buzzword.
Right, just slapping machine learning on the prospectus.
Exactly. So they could put it in their IPO documents and look shiny and new. I mean, $2 million is a rounding error for a company making nearly $1 billion a year.
It really is.
So is this just window dressing for investors, or is it actually a vital piece of their strategy?
I get the cynicism, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, this tiny $2 million acquisition is actually the absolute linchpin to understanding their turnaround story.
Really? The linchpin?
Yes, because the University of Phoenix is fundamentally shifting its core identity.
Okay, how so?
Well, for decades, their model was business to consumer, right? B2C. They ran late-night television ads, they bought Google search terms, they tried to convince individual adults sitting at home to sign up for a degree.
Right, the classic you can do it in your pajamas marketing era.
Exactly. But that B2C model got incredibly expensive to market.
And highly regulated, too.
Yes, very highly regulated. So what they are doing now is pivoting hard to a business-to-business B2B model.
Okay.
They're transforming from a school that just sells degrees to individuals into a talent development pipeline for massive corporations.
So how does Empath's skills inference actually work in practice for a corporate client?
Think about the problem human resources departments face at large.
Yeah.
Fortune 500 companies.
Okay.
They have thousands of employees, but they don't actually know what specific granular skills those people possess beyond their basic job titles.
Right. You just know somebody's a project manager through.
Exactly. So Empath's machine learning technology ingests a company's internal data to infer the actual capabilities of the workforce.
Oh, wow.
It analyzes all that existing data to map out a complete inventory of what the employees can actually do.
So instead of an HR manager trying to manually survey thousands of people,
Which never works.
right. The AI maps out a heat map of the entire company's skill sets.
Yes.
It can tell the employer, hey, you have a surplus of middle managers with project management skills. But based on the direction of your industry, you are severely lacking in data analysts and cloud computing architects.
You nailed it. And once that skills gap is identified by the AI, the university steps in with a solution.
Ah,
They tell the corporate client, look, we have the exact curriculum to upskill those specific middle managers into the data analysts you need for next year.
that is smart.
Right. The university walks into an HR department not just as a school asking for tuition dollars, but as a strategic software and training partner.
That completely reframes the relationship. And honestly, it perfectly explains the massive jump in student retention we were just talking about.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are an individual adult paying your own way, taking night classes after a long day of work, it is really easy to drop out when life gets exhausted.
Too easy.
But if you are an employer-backed student, and if your company is paying for your degree and your next promotion is directly tied to finishing that specific upskilling program,
Yeah.
you are heavily incentivized to stick it out and finish.
Exactly. The incentives form a highly efficient loop.
Right.
The employer gets a worker tailored to their future needs. The employee gets career advancement without taking on any student debt. And the university gets a guaranteed, highly motivated student who won't drop out.
Wow.
That stability right there is exactly how they maintain flat tuition for 8 years.
It is a brilliant pivot. It really is. But because they are a nearly 50-year-old institution, they're trying to sprint into the future of corporate training while dragging a lot of heavy baggage from their past.
Yeah, and legacy liabilities can act as massive anchors. They can drag down even the most efficient new business models.
So we have to look at this regulatory baggage first.
We do.
The filing details a major situation with the Department of Education regarding borrower defense to repayment, or BDR, claims.
Right.
Now, to be absolutely clear to you listening, we are delivering this impartially based purely on the financial risks stated in the document.
Yes.
The Department of Education approved 1,200 BDR claims, discharging nearly $37 million in federal student loans.
Mm-hmm.
And this relates to a specific advertising campaign the university ran between 2012 and 2014, which was called Let's Get to Work.
Yeah, so the borrower defense to repayment regulation essentially allows students to have their federal loans forgiven if a school misled them or engaged in other misconduct.
Right.
In this specific case, the government's position is that the university substantially misrepresented its relationships with outside companies in that Let's Get to Work ad campaign.
Okay.
And that alleged misrepresentation is what triggered the loan discharges for those 1,200 students.
So the students got their loans wiped out by the government, but the financial risk to the company today is that the Department of Education has indicated its intent to commence a recoupment effort.
Yes.
How does a recoupment actually work against a publicly traded company? What does that mean?
Well, the government does not just eat that $37 million loss quietly.
Right.
A recoupment effort means the Department of Education actively demands the school reimburse the government for those discharged loans.
Wow. And if they don't?
If the school refuses or fights it, the department has some very powerful mechanisms.
Like what?
They can theoretically withhold future federal student aid funds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the same funds the school relies on to process tuition for its current students. Or they can pursue aggressive litigation to seize the funds directly.
So the filing notes that the school is facing this potential recoupment, although the department hasn't officially commenced the action yet.
Right.
It's just this massive looming contingent liability hanging over their balance sheet.
And it serves as a stark reminder, honestly, that marketing decisions made over a decade ago can suddenly materialize as multi-million-dollar liabilities today.
It's crazy. And that is just the regulatory baggage. We also have to pivot and look at their technological legacy. Because in August of 2025, the company suffered a major cybersecurity incident.
Yeah, and this raises an important question about how modern companies have to operate and provision for risk in the digital age.
Definitely.
Because this breach wasn't a case of a careless employee leaving an unlocked laptop in a coffee shop.
Right.
It was a vulnerability in a third-party software platform they use, specifically the Oracle e-Business Suite.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the mechanism here. To use an analogy,
Sure.
this is like finding out the universal electronic lock on every apartment door in your building was installed backwards by the manufacturer.
Okay.
You didn't leave your door open, you trusted the vendor, but you are still the one getting robbed because the system itself had a flaw.
That is a very apt way to look at third-party software vulnerabilities. You are entirely reliant on the security infrastructure of your vendors.
Right.
And in this case, the vulnerability allowed unauthorized actors to access the university's systems.
Now, they discovered the breach in November 2025, but the data was actually accessed back in August.
Yeah, there was a gap there.
And the data they lost is the absolute worst kind. It's personally identifiable information PII.
The holy grail for hackers.
Yeah, we are talking names, dates of birth, social security numbers, and bank routing numbers.
And the cascading financial impacts of a PII breach, they are just staggering.
Oh, I bet.
The filing reveals they have already spent $5.1 million just on the initial triage.
Wow, $5 million already.
Yeah, and that includes incident response forensics, legally mandated notifications to the affected individuals, and hiring specialized cybersecurity firms to patch the holes.
And that $5.1 million doesn't even cover the ongoing lawsuits, right?
Not even close.
They're facing a consolidated class action lawsuit in federal court in Texas, where they are actually a co-defendant alongside Oracle and other companies that were hit by this same vulnerability.
Yeah.
And the filing explicitly says they haven't even accrued a liability for it yet because they can't reasonably estimate the range of loss.
Which tells you how volatile this is. The infrastructure of risk has become incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Setting aside millions of dollars for cyber insurance deductibles, forensic investigations, and legacy legal fights. It's now just a baseline cost of running a digital business.
It's the cost of doing business. Which brings us to another legacy digital cost hidden in the filing.
Oh, the Pixel one.
Yes. They are facing a Video Privacy Protection Act, a VPPA class action lawsuit in Illinois.
Right.
The allegation here is that the university used tracking pixels on its website, which supposedly shared users' identifiable information with third parties.
So to understand this lawsuit, you really have to understand how a tracking pixel works mechanically on modern websites.
Right. Break that down for us.
It's usually a tiny, invisible 1x1 pixel image embedded in the code of a web page.
Okay.
When your web browser loads the web page, it also has to request and load that invisible pixel from a third-party server.
Like a social media company or an ad network? So when my browser requests that invisible image, it unknowingly hands over my IP address, what video I might be watching on the site, and my browsing behavior directly to that third party.
Yes, it's totally seamless. And the VPPA is a strict privacy law, originally designed to stop entities from sharing your video viewing history. Think back to the days of Blockbuster video rentals.
Oh, wow.
But enterprising lawyers are now applying it to modern websites.
Ah.
They're arguing that using these standard tracking pixels to see what videos a user interacts with constitutes a privacy violation under that old law.
That is wild.
Yeah. And the filing notes that a motion to dismiss was partially denied. They went to mediation, which failed, and now they're locked in settlement negotiations.
Man. So what does this all mean? When you take a step back from the dense jargon of this 10Q, Phoenix Education Partners is just a fascinating case study of contradictions.
It really is.
On one hand, you have a legacy brand that has beautifully modernized its approach. They are stabilizing their enrollment through smart employer partnerships. They're using tools like Empath to become a corporate talent pipeline, and they have successfully absorbed the massive one-time accounting shock of an IPO.
But on the other hand, they are forced to constantly bail water from the lower decks.
Right.
They're fighting a $37 million regulatory recoupment threat from ads that ran over a decade ago. They're bleeding millions into cyber incident responses because of third-party vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And they're navigating modern class action lawsuits over just standard digital marketing tools.
The tension is palpable. It's like, can the efficiency of their new B2B engine outpace the drag of those legacy anchors?
And that tension actually leads to one final thought. Something hidden deep in the risk factors of this filing that could represent a totally different kind of storm on the horizon.
Oh, what did you find?
The report briefly mentions that, quote, changes to internet search due to artificial intelligence could impact how prospective students find them.
Oh, wow. That is a massive variable to just drop into a risk factor section.
It is, because for decades, the entire online higher education model relied heavily on digital marketing,
Right.
buying Google search ads so that when someone typed in online business degree, the university was the first sponsored link you saw.
The classic ad model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as AI chatbots replaced traditional search engines, that entire multi-million-dollar lead generation model might be turned completely upside down.
Oh, so.
Well, if an AI analyzes your career goals and simply tells you the absolute best, most cost-effective place to learn a new skill
Mm-hmm.
rather than showing you a page of paid advertisements,
Mm-hmm.
how does a legacy digital marketer survive?
Wow. Yeah, if an AI doesn't recommend you based on merit, you cannot just buy your way to the top of the page anymore.
Exactly. You can't just throw money at Google.
That forces an institution to rely entirely on the quality of its outcomes, which, to bring it full circle, might be exactly why they are pivoting so hard to those guaranteed corporate B2B pipelines.
Yes. They are building a structural moat against the AI disruption of traditional search engines.
Because if corporations are sending you students directly, you don't need to worry about where you rank on a chatbot's recommendation list.
Exactly. You bypass the search engine entirely.
It is a brilliant defensive maneuver.
It really is.
You know, we started by looking at a ship that seemed to be taking on water. But after unpacking this 10Q, it looks a lot more like a seasoned crew expertly patching the old leaks while entirely rebuilding the engine for a new era of navigation.
That's a great way to put it. It's a murky diagnostic landscape, but once you know how to read the charts, the strategy is crystal clear.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking past the surface numbers, keep questioning the information around you, and we will catch you next time.